This is my Street Fighter Arcade1Up cabinet. I was never a big Street Fighter fan, but this cabinet has the perfect button layout for turning it into a MAME arcade. I bought it at Walmart for $299, picked up the riser for an additional $40, and ordered all of the parts to mod this thing. I used ETA Prime's video on how to do the monitor and controller mod. I didn't like the ball top joysticks and the LED buttons he used. Instead, I went with a HAPP set. More specifically, I went with the Killer Instinct Blue. I've loved that game since I saw it in the arcades in 1994. I even run one of the biggest Killer Instinct fan sites, killerinstinctonline.net. My ultimate goal is to reskin this cabinet to look like a mini Killer Instinct cabinet. One step at a time, though. If you haven't seen ETA Prime's video, I started by getting this monitor controller board he suggested. You have to be careful to order the right board. Lots of people are having trouble by buying boards that aren't right for the monitor in these cabinets. To be safe, I'd suggest looking at the model number inside the cabinet before ordering to make sure it matches up. It's very easy to swap the board. I'll link to ETA Prime's video to show you how to do that in the description. I'll also link to this exact board I bought for my build, but I'd still recommend double checking your model number on the back of your monitor. After that, I swapped out my controls. This was not as straightforward as ETA Prime's build, but that's because the HAPP joysticks are very large. Of course, they were meant for a full-size cabinet. The joystick's plastic mounting bracket covered part of the holes for the buttons. Thankfully, my wife has a crafting obsession and a Dremel, so we cut the parts off that weren't needed. It's ugly, but no one will see it since it's under the control panel anyway. I wired everything up using these USB encoder boards I got from Amazon. I'll link to them in the description also. I also added 2 buttons below the controller board. One for adding credits to games that need them, and the other is to exit emulation back to my front-end software. This cabinet is just a little too small to fit a PC case comfortably, so I cut a piece of plywood, bought some of these plastic mounts that real arcades use to mount their board to the wall. I then used Velcro to stick the hard drive to the wall of the cabinet and stick the power supply to the cabinet floor. I didn't go with double-sided sticky tape, so I could remove all of this stuff relatively easily if needed. I did not use the stock speaker that came with the Arcade1Up. Most of the games I'll be emulating are from the midway 90s era, and those cabinets, especially Killer Instinct, had really great sound. I've held on to these Logitech speakers for over 10 years for the day that I could make my own arcade cabinet. I used more Velcro to stick them to the back of the cabinet facing up. This way they aren't visible from the cabinet unless you're really tall. The subwoofer sits inside the cabinet, also Velcroed to the wall so it won't move around if I move the cabinet. To my surprise, there's no rattle in the cabinet. Some of this wood is very thin and I was worried it would vibrate, but it hasn't yet. I needed a way to shut down the computer before turning the cabinet off. I found this external power button and mounted it to the back. I didn't want to have a mouse and keyboard hanging around. I wanted this to look and act like a real arcade as much as possible. As far as startup goes, when I flip the switch on the power strip mounted inside the cabinet, my PC, monitor, and speakers will all turn on automatically. Shutdown needed to be done a little differently since Windows needs to shut down properly. So I press this button first, wait for the PC to shut off, then put my finger through the hole in the back and flip the power strip switch off. I'll link to this button in the description. It's been very handy and was very cheap. I installed this USB-powered fan to blow air on the motherboard and hard drive, just to make sure everything stays pretty cool inside the cabinet. It's pretty quiet. You can only hear it if everything's silent in the room. You hear a low hum, but other than that, it's a very quiet fan. This should keep it cool enough to where I can run it for hours on end and not have to worry about any problems. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with this build. It's my first try at something like this. The Arcade1Up is pretty easy to mod for first timers, and especially if you aren't a handy person, you can get this done pretty easily. Check out the description for the Amazon links for parts I used in this video. Thanks to ETA Prime for doing it first and letting us all know it was possible and actually pretty easy to do. I would like to note that my Maximus Arcade software is not finished out yet. I'm going to add marquee art and videos soon, but I was waiting to get all my parts in the mail to do this video, and I just filmed everything right after I finished it, so I have not actually added any art to it yet. But the Maximus software is actually pretty cool. I got it at a pretty good discount. It was only $4.99 when I bought it. I think that sale has ended though. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in hearing more about this cabinet. I might do a video on the Maximus front-end software. If you want to see something specifically, let me know and I may be able to make a video on it.